son, you're going to serve her in some form or fashion. I didn't have any idea what that meant when I was a kid. Obviously, as a grown man, having served my country, I have a great understanding of what that means now. Right? So, give you a little insight on my family. I remember one time I was over at a buddy of mine's house. It was his birthday, and his dad sat down. You know, we were doing all the cake and all that stuff, like that. And he gave me a watch. And I remember, and he said to me, he was like, "Son, this was my watch. This was my father's watch. It was his father's watch before him, and so forth and so on. It's been a fan for a long time. I'm giving it to you." And I thought that was really cool. I remember going home, talking to my father. I was like, "Sir, do we have anything like a watch or a ring or trinket, anything like that, you know, passed down to us or something?" He's like, and he sat me down. And you know when your father sits you down, it's going to be one of the talks you don't want to hear about. He's like, "Look, we don't have anything like that in this family. All right? We don't pass down watches or rings or necklaces or trinkets. That stuff can get lost or stolen or broken. The only thing we pass down in this family is discipline and respect." He's like, "As you grow from a boy into a man, I'm going to give you discipline. Through discipline, you're going to gain respect. Respect for yourself and respect for other people. The only way you can lose your respect is if you lose your discipline. You're the only one that can throw that away." And, you know, in my family, discipline hurts. You know what I'm saying? I plan on giving my boy a watch one day. It was just, you know, but I understood what he was talking about. So, when I was about 14 years old, my brother came running down to the barn. I was doing some chores. He's like, "Hey, I know what we're going to do for a living. We're going to be Navy SEALs." And I didn't have any idea what that meant. And for those of you that don't know, SEAL stands for Sea, Air, and Land Specialists. Okay, we're the Special Forces Division of the Navy. Army has Marine Rangers. Marines have MARSOF. Air Force has PJs and comptrollers. All right, and the Navy has the Navy SEALs. Right? So he's like, "Yeah, it's going to be great. We get to jump out of airplanes, shoot guns, blow stuff up, and there's a 50% chance we're going to die." I was like, "Sign me up, man." Because my brother and I, we had a couple of sayings we were growing up. One of them was, "From the womb to the tomb, and if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space." All right. My we're identical twins. He's actually 7 minutes older than I am. So back in the day, he'd be king, right? So the way it works is he comes up with all these great ideas, and I have to go first. With little to no damage, then it was a good idea. But if I come out dragging my leg and missing some blood, then he's like, "We probably rethink this." You know, so that's the way it was. Well, down away from us was a guy who trained people to go into the Special Forces. His name was Billy Shelton, all right? And kind of give you an insight on Billy. Those of you from small towns, you know what I'm talking about. Billy was our town's psychopath, all right? Certified Vietnam veteran. He's the kind of guy you saw in the supermarket having an argument with the bread. And your mother would grab you and say, "Hey, we need to go this way." Walk that way. I mean, certified. He lived in an old plantation house outside of town. Well, like I said, my brother had this great idea. We were going to get Billy to train us. So we asked our father to take us over there and ask Billy to train us to go into the SEAL teams. And I'll never forget it. It was like yesterday. I walked up, me, my brother, a couple of my buddies, knocked on the door, answered the door, caught him during dinner time. I'll never forget it. He had a piece of fried chicken in his hand. He's like, "What do you want?" And he was a giant of a man to me back then. I was looking up at him. And he's like, I was like, "Sir, we want to be Navy SEALs. We heard you train people to do that. We were wondering if you would train us." He kind of looked at me for a second, looked over my shoulder. He's like, 4:30 tomorrow. He slammed the door in our face. So we backed out of there. The next day, we come running up at 4:30. And this is my first lesson with Billy, my first life lesson. And it stands true to this day. All right, we came running up there, and he was already out there waiting on us. And as we got closer, you could see him out there. He was pointing at us, and he was pointing at his watch. He was pointing at the ground, pointing at us, pointing at his watch. And as we got closer, like I said, you realize the only thing that was coming out of his mouth was profanity. And as we got to his yard, he stopped us in the street. He drew a line in the sand in front of us. He's like, "Every day you come here, I'm going to draw a line in front of you and ask you to cross it. Being in the Special Forces, That's a voluntary program. You can quit anytime you want. You can quit right now. You can quit while I'm training you. You can quit when you're going to SEAL training. As a Navy SEAL in combat, you don't want to do that job anymore. Say, hey, I'm done. I can't handle this, and it's over. And that's the truth. He said, if you cross this line, I'm going to beat you. Mentally, physically, and emotionally. You're going to bleed here. I ain't your mama. I don't care about you. I don't care whether you live or die. The same thing when a man goes to war, his brain turns to water and runs out of his ears, and all he has to go on is instinct and guide to the right and left of him. He's like, you want some of this? Cross the line. And 14 years old, you think you're invincible, right? At least I did. So stupidly, we crossed the line. So we did. It's like, all right, everybody on your faces, give me 300 push-ups for being late. And that's not a lot of push-ups, but if you got some guys who aren't in shape, you're going to be paying the man. And like I said, this is my first life lesson with Billy. If someone tells you to be somewhere at a certain time, you're always 15 minutes early. That's what on time is, not at 4:30. Reason being is because things always change. And you don't have to go through a school like this to understand what I'm talking about. This applies to everything. Things always change. You know what I'm talking about. You leave work at the end of the day. You know what you're supposed to do when you come in the next morning. You show up there, you're like, hey, guess what? Something changed overnight. This is what we're going to be doing. If you're